Now at 10, we are tracking a winter storm warning. I'm going to give you all the details.
Plus, going to hear about how you can stay safe on the roads once the snow does fall. And 60 dogs are seized during an animal abuse investigation in Newton County.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Those roads could get tricky overnight as temperatures drop and wintry weather moves in. This is KOAM News at 10. Doug Heddy joins us with the first look at weather. Doug?
Yeah, of course, we have the winter storm warnings in effect for the entire area, and we've had rain, even some moderate, even some heavy batches of rain as we have worked through the evening hours, and you can see the moisture increasing. This is our first wave of 2 that will affect us over the next 36 hours. At least for the next several hours, most of us are looking at rain, but you can see the sleet starting to mix in our northern counties, Iola, Chanute, Yates Center, and that sleet and freezing rain line will drop off toward the south. The colder air has actually worked in a little quicker than anticipated. We're dropping through the 30s. So by midnight, that kind of rain, sleet, freezing rain line is going to be close to the metro, and then it's going to pass through as we go through the overnight hours. So you can see by 3 a.m., most of us are at or below freezing as we get bands of sleet, freezing rain, and snow in our northern counties. So we are going to have some issues on the roadways as we go into the morning hours. Not a lot, but we are going to have some issues. And then we'll get our second band, which works in tomorrow night. I'll give you all the details here in just a bit.
Doug, thank you as always. As the winter weather draws closer by the hour, there are some things you can do to get ready. We spoke with a couple of different experts on how to get ready for the winter storm. Both offered the same top tip. If you don't have to go out, don't. But not everyone can stay home, right? So if you do have to go out, we first got some tips on how to get your car ready. Rick Nixon with Nixon's Garage recommends all-season or winter-rated tires as they're specially designed to drive in snowy weather. Being able to see is also key, so he says you also want to make sure you have an ice scraper handy. Another key item to check on your car is the wiper blades. If they're not in good shape, they won't do you any good. Of course, make sure your defroster is working to help keep your windshield clear. Before you can do any of that, there's some other key tips to keep in mind.
Well, the first thing we should do is check that antifreeze and make sure that we have a strong enough antifreeze mix to protect the car from the lower temperatures. That would be first. The second thing would be to set the tire pressures. Let's make sure they're set to the manufacturer's specification, which is on the driver's side door jamb on most cars.
Nixon says with most newer cars, it's not necessary to add any weights to them. But if you have front-wheel drive, you can add some weight to the back to help with steering around curves. Once you get that car ready, driving in the unpleasant weather becomes the next obstacle. So we spoke with Mark Boggs, a driving instructor with the Alliance of Southwest Missouri, to find out some of the important things you need to know. Boggs says one of the key things is to make sure you have a full tank of gas. You also want to have an emergency kit, warm clothes and blankets just in case. If possible, drive a vehicle with either front-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. He also says that if you have four-wheel drive, that doesn't mean you can't stop faster. It doesn't affect your stopping rate. If you hit a slick spot, he's got some advice for that as well.
Once you do get out on the road, remember, if you start sliding, always steer the direction you want your car to go. So if you're sliding sideways, you steer right back towards your lane. Do not hit your brakes when you're in a slide. It loses your ability to steer your vehicle.
Boggs says if you have a teen driver and you have to be out, you can also use this as a learning experience by teaching them how to drive safely in winter weather, but only, of course, if you're comfortable doing that. Area departments of transportation are getting ready to treat the roads to keep them safe. KDOT says they have more than 100 trucks throughout the district ready to go. Officials say they will not be treating the roads until the rain stops so that it doesn't get washed away, all those chemicals. KDOT does have staff shortages in some places, but officials say they will be ready to go regardless.
We prepare as well as we can. As I said, we're trying to be proactive. Less than ideal conditions in certain respects, again, but we've been out in hundreds of storms before, so we feel ready.
MoDOT is also dealing with short staffing. Officials say they plan to have workers on 12-hour shifts to get the work done. They want to remind drivers to stay away from trucks as they are working to make their jobs easier. MoDOT also plans to wait until after the rain to treat those roads.
When you get rain to start with, that hurts our ability to put something down and leave it on the road in preparation of the snow and break the bond. But that doesn't mean we won't put some down. Other challenges, traffic is a massive challenge for us.
Well, authorities say a man faces murder charges after the bodies of his girlfriend and 2 other people were found buried in northeastern Oklahoma. Court documents show 61-year-old Robert Edwin Lewis of Stillwell faces 3 first-degree murder charges. Authorities found the bodies of his girlfriend Deanna Tippy of Cherokee County, Oklahoma, and Quindley Lamb and Brian Shackelford from Sharp County, Arkansas on Friday and Saturday. The discovery came after Lamb's brother and Lewis's ex-girlfriend reported that they had found 1 body on land owned by Lewis. Court documents do not list an attorney who can speak on Lewis's behalf. Newton County Sheriff's Office today seized around 60 dogs from a home. Authorities say the dogs were in poor condition, lacking proper shelter, food, and water. Several cats were also rescued. The Joplin Humane Society and a Diamond Fire Department brought food and water for the animals. They're going to be taken to St. Louis for treatment and care. Criminal charges for the owners are being considered. Still ahead, we're going to look at the toll that drug overdoses take on teens and why the National Restaurant Association says that our favorite eateries might not return to a pre-pandemic normal. It's a crisis here in the U.S. More people are dying from unintentional drug overdoses than ever before. And a new study shows the toll drugs are taking on young people in particular by measuring how many years of life they've lost. Mandy Gaither has a look at the eye-opening research and why the ways we help adults with addiction may be inadequate for youth.
The unintentional drug overdose epidemic continues to sweep across the U.S. Up until now, researchers say much of the focus has been on adults battling addiction.
The problem of drug overdose amongst adolescents and young people has been overlooked.
That's the motivation behind this study published in JAMA Pediatrics. Researchers wanted to understand the impact of unintentional overdoses on young people.
So we counted years of life lost, which is just the number of years adolescents and young people would have had they had full lives.
Study co-author Dr. Trent Hall with Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center says the results were shocking. Looking at CDC unintentional overdose data from 2015 through 2019, the study says those between the ages of 10 and 19 have lost about 200,000 years of life. If the data is expanded to include people up to 24 years of age, there was a loss of about 1.25 million years of life.
We really need to do something about this. It's clear that there's a mortality crisis amongst adolescents and young people in the U.S. due to overdose.
But Hall says many of the health interventions aimed at adults may be inadequate for younger Americans. That's why he says parents and teachers need to know the signs of substance use, talk about the risks, and consider getting a Narcan kit, which can help save a life if there's an overdose. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Hall says ways to get a Narcan kit differ from state to state, but suggests talking to a pharmacist or your healthcare provider. Well, the National Restaurant Association doesn't believe the industry will return to what it was before the pandemic, but that doesn't mean the outlook is all bad. The trade group released its 2022 State of the Restaurant Industry Report, and in it, experts say this year is the start of a new normal, thanks to emerging technology and changes in consumer behavior and dining preference. Group forecasts $898 billion in sales in 2022. That's up, by the way, from $864 billion in 2019. Despite the positive outlook, only 25% of restaurant operators believe their restaurants will be more profitable this year. They say they're facing several challenges, including finding and keeping employees, rising costs, supply chain issues, and a smaller consumer base. America's national debt just hit a huge milestone, passing $30 trillion for the first time ever. That's sobering news coming from the Treasury Department, data published today. Government borrowing sped up during the pandemic as Washington spent aggressively to lessen the economic impact of the crisis. Since the end of 2019, the national debt has surged by about $7 trillion. Economists are divided on how big of a problem this really is, but it comes as borrowing costs are expected to rise. That's because the Federal Reserve is poised to raise interest rates. Some experts have noted that rising borrowing costs will limit how much money the government can spend on other priorities like climate change. Well, they say time is money, and OAG Aviation Analytics is out with a list of the most punctual airlines and airports for 2022. Hawaiian Airlines was the most reliable in the U.S. with a nearly 90% on-time rate. Delta came in a close second, followed by American and United. As for airports, Charlotte Douglas was named the most on-time U.S. airport. Detroit and Atlanta also received high marks for prompt takeoffs. Calling it quits. According to a new OnePoll survey, it takes the average American 32 days to break a resolution. So the first day of February, which is today, it's just about wrapping up, but February 1st is today, signals the time people say sayonara to those New Year goals. And more than 2 in 3 said they didn't even last that long. Students at some historically black colleges and universities in the U.S. woke up to bomb threats. For some campuses, it was the second day in a row. No explosives have been found, and students and faculty were given the all clear for classes eventually. The Department of Homeland Security says it's coordinating with federal, state, and local agencies. All right, later, 2 of the best teams in the 4 states square off in their one and only meeting this season. We're going to have highlights from Joplin's game against Carthage coming up in sports.
And freezing rain and sleet is currently working into our northern counties. Let's take a look at it coming up. Well, temperature is still pretty good for us today, and of course we've been dropping off over the past several hours. Rain through the afternoon into the evening hours, even some decent rain amounts across the region, which is also another little problem we need to think about, because I know Jordan said earlier that none of the road crews are going to treat the roads until after the rain so it doesn't wash off. Well, we're going to drop below freezing so fast, it's just going to freeze on the roadway, so that's going to be a little bit of an issue. Winter storm warning in effect for everyone as we go through the overnight hours. Look at the rain increasing northeastern Oklahoma, southwestern Missouri, especially along the I-44 corridor. Moderate rain, especially where you're seeing the yellows popping up. And then we have a little bit of freezing rain near Fort Scott, just to the west of Nevada. And then the purple is mixing in with a little bit of sleet, Iola, Chanute. So that freezing line is dropping to the south. All snow, Kansas City, a little bit of a lull near Lawrence, Topeka, back down toward Wichita. Even some moderate snow as well, but you can see all this moisture lifting north. This is wave number 1. Wave number 2, Arizona, New Mexico. That's the main band that will give most of us several inches of snow. Just wet outside for us right now. Nice shot. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, Indigo, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Look at our temps. So right at freezing. Northern counties, Pittsburgh's at 34, 38 in Joplin. Northwest Arkansas still hanging on, trying to hang on at 51 degrees. You can see that front sliding through during the afternoon hours. So the winds are strong, so it makes it feel even colder, and it's going to blow everything around as well as we go through the overnight hours tonight into tomorrow. All right, freezing rain. So this is 1 a.m. through the metro. Sleet, southeastern Kansas, snow in our northern counties. So by 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, everybody's going to have frozen precip. Picks up snow, Yates Center, Iola, Chanute, Fredonia, over toward Fort Scott. So by morning, this area in the blue will get 2 to 4 inches of snow. Everybody else is mainly going to get sleet and freezing rain. I think because the colder air has rushed in quicker, less freezing rain, more sleet as we go into the morning hours. So we'll have sleet and snow through the morning, and then late morning we get into a lull. And then just kind of a few snow showers by the time we head into the afternoon. But temperatures go down into the teens by the afternoon. It's windy, northeasterly winds at about 10 to 15. Snow picks up again tomorrow night. Moderate to heavy snow will be sitting into the teens. Heaviest snow from 9 p.m. until 3 o'clock in the morning. Then most of this will work out by 8 a.m. on Thursday. All right, so ice amounts, freezing rain, about 1/10, maybe 2/10 of an inch. You don't want anything over 1/4 of an inch. That's when you start getting a whole bunch of problems. I think most of us will stay below that. So here's your timeline. We are now jumping into moderate ice the rest of the night, very light snow in the morning into the afternoon. Then we go to heavy snow, 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. heading into Thursday morning, and then just kind of light flurries from that point on. So what about the roads? Well, the roads are warm right now, but later on tonight by 4, 5, 6 a.m., we'll get into that tricky little segment. The road's a little bit tricky out there. That's where they're going to stick through the daytime hours tomorrow. They drop into the bad tomorrow night. You don't want to drive. And then they start to improve late in the day on Thursday. How much are we going to get? Sleet mainly in our southern counties for a good chunk of the storm, and then over to snow. So I'm going to keep the amounts a little less. 4 to 8. In the blue, 6 to 10. If you had to peg me down in the metro, I'm thinking 7, maybe 8 inches. But I'm thinking for the metro, 7, maybe 8 inches. Heavier amounts, Nevada, points northeast into central parts of Missouri. Now, remember, as we continue to get closer to the storm system and into it, we will continue to have to tweak things, but I'd say 90% of it is set. All right, 20s tomorrow, 21 Thursday, 6 Thursday night, 25 Friday. So whatever we do get, we'll stick around on the ground for quite some time.
Changes have happened already, and as you were pointing to, big changes still on the way.
Yeah, it gets worse.
Doug Heddy, thank you. All right, coming up in sports, the Missouri Southern men aim to knock off one of the best teams in the country and a big COC showdown in Carthage between the Tigers and Joplin Eagles. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
Carthage and Joplin have been two of the best boys basketball teams in the area all season long. Carthage is 15-3 through 18 games, while Joplin is 13-5. Tonight, the two teams square off in Carthage, their one and only scheduled meeting this season. Carthage down 3 until Justin Ray knocks down the deep ball. Later in the quarter, Max Templeman gets the reverse to go. Tigers lead by 4 after 1. Second quarter, Joplin starts to use their size. Terrence Gibson scores 8 in the second, 12 in the first half. Eagles go up 1 at halftime. Early fourth, always right, doing what he does. He finishes with 13. Other end, Joel Pugh, quiet most of the night, but big shot here. Gets Carthage within 1 with 5 minutes to go. Just 2 minutes left, still down 1. Clay Kinder, corner 3. Tigers go back in front by 2. Kinder scores 17. But check this out. Final seconds. Eagles down 1. Always right on the drive. No good. But Terrence Gibson there for the tip-in, and that's the game winner for Joplin. Gibson finishes with 16. Eagles win a thriller tonight, 46-45. In the girls' game, it's also Joplin taking that one 47-36. Brooke Nice leads the Eagles with 15 points. Ella Hafer scores 14, while Bryn Driver adds 12. The Missouri Southern men have won 3 games in a row to get to 8-4 in the MIAA. Tonight, Southern hits the road, aiming to keep their winning streak alive and knock off one of the best teams in the country. The Lions are in Maryville this evening, facing the 4th-ranked Northwest Missouri State Bearcats. Tight game early. Wes Dreamer knocks down the 3. Bearcats out to the early lead, but the Lions respond. Alex Jones straightaway 3. Just a 2-point game. Missouri Southern kept on battling. Winston Desicel, jumper. He scores 11. Christian Bundy down low, plus the foul. 9 and 6 tonight for Bundy. Right before the break, Stan Scott, nice crossover, drives and finishes. He leads Southern with 16, but Northwest, too much in the end, 82-71 the final. Well, today is day 2 of the Mercy Warrior Classic at Macaulay Catholic High School. Tonight we have a pair of Joplin schools squaring off in round 1 with Thomas Jefferson hitting the floor against College Heights. Now, the winner of this one moves on to the tournament semifinals tomorrow night. Early on, Libby Fanning spins and scores for College Heights. She gets 6 in the first quarter. Then Jaylee Johnson goes to work here. Nice pass to Addie Lawrence. Lawrence hits the 3. Johnson doing it herself this time, and the foul. Cougars up double digits after the first. Second quarter, Cavaliers start to get something going. Tana Grigg drives and scores. Then final seconds of the half, Sarah Mueller beats the buzzer for Thomas Jefferson. But it's College Heights rolling and moving on, 55-41. Well, the greatest quarterback to ever do it has officially called it a career today. Tom Brady announces his retirement from the NFL after 22 years in the league. Brady's a 7-time Super Bowl champ, 5-time Super Bowl MVP. He leaves the game as the NFL's all-time leader in passing yards, passing touchdowns, completions, regular season wins and playoff wins. Brady was a 6th-round draft pick for the Patriots in 2000. He's 44 years old. Brady had previously said, quote, "When I suck, I'll retire," but that really never happened. At 44 years old, he threw for 5,316 yards and 43 touchdowns. Both of those best in the league. Also led the NFL in pass attempts and yards per game. He'll be eligible for the Hall of Fame in 2027. Well, today's the opening day of the baseball season for the Missouri Southern Lions. Southern kicks things off today on the road against Southwestern Oklahoma State. Now, they gave up 8 in the 5th, going on to fall 13-6. However, freshman and Webb City High School product Tregan Parker goes 1 for 3 with a double and his first career RBI for Missouri Southern. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran. Fred Caius served in the U.S. Army during World War I. He's from Parsons, Kansas, and we are proud to thank and salute Fred Caius. He's tonight's 4-state hero. All right, gentlemen, take a look at this. Hormel unveiled its chili cheese keg just in time for the Super Bowl, and fans have a chance to win it. Here are the specs. The company says this is a fully functioning half-barrel keg that can hold up to 15 gallons of dip. The keg features a tap handle shaped like a chili can, pump to pour out the dip, and an adjustable internal heating element to keep the dip from getting cold. Hormel has set up a sweepstakes page, HormelChiliCheeseKeg.com. HormelChiliCheeseKeg.com, where people have until February 6th to enter to win it. Gallons of chili cheese dip. How about that? Yay or nay?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Really?
That sounds
Take it.
Gallons of it, though?
Yeah, I'll get sick, but I'll enjoy it, yeah.
I got a freezer. I can freeze it.
Definitely a night for just staying home tonight.
Yeah, I mean, rain and then freezing rain and sleet mixing in over the next few hours, and then periods of snow in the morning, and then again by tomorrow night. Jacob, what do you got?
Super Bowl, youngest combination of ages of head coaches. They're both under 40 for the first time in history.
Wow.
How about that? Thanks so much for joining us. Have a safe rest of the night. We'll see you tomorrow morning.